Everybody, welcome to the Crack House Podcast. My name is Mike O'Sullivan. Today with me, I got a real special guest. Not only are we neighbors, but she's one of the funniest people around. Her name is Christine Meehan Berg. You might have seen her. She's got a YouTube show called Miss Pillows. She's on a Showtime docuseries, which you can get on all platforms. You might have seen her in the Amazon documentary 25 Sets with her and her husband. I saw that. It was great. He just ran around the city, and
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a love story to it
Mhm.
too. It's so
Mm.
cute.
Mm.
And she's on everything: YouTube, Amazon. Just type in her name, you'll find something. Welcome, Christine Meehan Berg.
Thank you. I'm not on primetime television yet, or
Yeah.
like Netflix, or all the things that I don't have. Let's
Mm,
appreciate the things that I do,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Also, my hair, I didn't expect to look this good for this podcast. But whatever
Smoldering.
this lighting is doing, I'll do it. I like myself better now that I'm doing. I didn't realize it was called the Crack House. I thought it was like the crack. I didn't know what it was. And then I was like, oh yeah, Crack House makes a lot of sense for me to be on it. So I'm very happy to be here.
Don't
My life
smoke.
is a
Yeah.
crack house right now. So
Well, when you have little kids, you're a young parent. So,
well, like I feel like kids are little crackheads. Like they just,
yeah.
like a lot of them don't have teeth. They're
Mhm.
like obsessed with like things that make them crazy, sugar. So yeah, crack, like crack.
Waking you up
Mm.
at 3 in the morning to do stupid shit. It's, yeah.
Yeah, they don't sleep,
Yeah.
they don't know what like signals are for like leave me alone. They don't know these
Yeah.
things. They
They don't
just like
bathe.
all in all
They
the
can't
time.
bathe on their own. They can't do anything. They can't
Yeah,
eat.
yeah,
I've been
yeah.
through
They
it.
try and they smell still.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. They scratch a lot. The
Yeah.
kids scratch a lot. They're itchy.
A lot of
Just like
mystery bruises on
crack.
them. You don't know what they don't know where they were, what they did.
Like what happened? They fall
Mhm. Yeah.
downstairs a lot,
Yeah.
which is what crackheads do, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
Well,
I'm happy to be here.
thanks for being on. So tell me, all right, tell me your life story. Where'd you grow up?
Delaware. My parents got divorced when I was three. My first memory is of my dad leaving. Hey, let's get funny right
Yeah.
away. So yeah, I'm the middle child of three, and you've heard lots of material of my sister about my sister.
Yeah.
My brother's a lawyer. My sister is like too perfect, and then
I have a
yeah,
lawyer
so
brother
broken
too.
home.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're the
Mhm.
worst. He's like,
Yeah.
I could do stand up, and then I'm like, get on stage,
Hey.
puss, and then he doesn't. So like I win,
Yeah.
Um, then yeah, so broken home, I ran away all the time. I ran away. I think I ran away like every day. Uh, but it was in the 80s, so like you would run away and then the sun would go down and then you went
Yeah.
home
Yeah.
because there's nowhere else to go. But I ran away every day. And then yeah, so traveled a lot as a kid because you bounce back and forth between parents.
Yeah.
And I just kind of became very I was the argumentative one. I was not, I wouldn't venture to say I was the funny one. I was the problematic, like, I don't know. I never allowed for anybody to tell me how things were. I think I just challenged everything and I think I still do. So that was weird because to become a comic, like you think, oh, you were funny. Well, I think I was
Yeah.
funny later in life, but like in, high school, middle school, high school, but not during my childhood. Grew up with a very funny father, but who could also be extremely dark and depressed. So I probably have that. I don't know if you could tell by the dead in the eyes, but I got
Yeah.
his eyes. So uh, then college, where I was not popular, was friends with a lot of men, but not because I was hot, because like I was like a man, which
Like a
sounds so sad.
Was this a curious phase? Is that it? Was that it? Was there a lot
No,
of flannel
no,
shirts and Birkenstocks or what?
no,
Oh.
there was a lot of like parachute pants and tube tops
Ah, okay. Yeah. So
and like hair
yeah.
bobs and pixies. Um, a lot of ecstasy at 19, but no, like I never fit a lot or very well with women or girls. I think because I just didn't get it. Like I didn't understand, rushing for a sorority, like pledge. I
Yeah.
didn't get all of that. I was like, I'm gonna make my own friends, and then I didn't make that many friends. So I probably I should have pledged. And then, yeah, I just wasn't like, I didn't really care as much as I feel like other women did about what they looked like. I was very smart, so not that I was nerdy, but I just didn't, I don't know, I didn't adhere to what other women really or girls like. So I had a couple of girlfriends here and there, and then I had one guy friend. I had like a bunch of guy friends. There was a big group, and I ended up hooking up with the one like the day of our graduation day.
Okay.
And then 10 years later, I ran into our other friend who had told me that the two guys, were in a like a secret relationship because they were in the closet. So I didn't know, but I banged a gay.
So
These are weird stories.
you were like the test case. Let me
I think I
maybe
was. I think I
maybe
was. Yeah. So, and then I didn't
usually
learn my lesson there. So, and then I became friends with more guys. I had crushes on guys. Not to say that I didn't like, hook up with dudes. I did. I mean, I don't know my number
yeah.
because I'm not ugly, but and then I decided I was very good at languages. So, and so I did a double major, Spanish and political science, because I was required to live in another country to graduate. So I lived in Costa Rica, and then I lived in Spain my last semester of college.
Oh.
So I lived there, and I fell in love with this Jewish guy. I have a thing for Jews, I guess. And he didn't love me back because we were best friends. And and it was friends with guys. Broke my heart. And I was so devastated. I dated a Moroccan guy to get over the other guy, who then was like, I don't know, I just didn't know he was Spanish. I didn't know he was Moroccan. I thought he was Spanish for 2 weeks. I didn't care
Did
about
he
him.
speak Spanish?
We only spoke Spanish
Oh,
together,
so
but I didn't ask him where
yeah.
he was from. I was just like, oh, you've got curls and
Yeah.
you make out with me in
Yeah.
plazas. That's enough.
You
It's
drink
attention.
tapas, good enough.
We drank a lot of sangria.
Yeah.
And then I moved home, and still devastated, and went back to Europe and lived and worked. Well, I traveled first, and traveled alone, and I went to like the UK, France. I went to the Netherlands for I guess 2 weeks to a month. I don't remember. I was drunk. And then I went through Spain, and then I got a one-way ticket to Morocco
To
to visit the Moroccan
yeah.
guy, but then I was kept against my will for 2 weeks because he wouldn't let me leave. And he may or may not have drugged me
What?
with really sugary tea. Yeah. Yeah.
Like kidnap kind of not leave?
Yeah, but not
Like chained?
kidnapped,
Were you
just like
chained to something?
I was just kept. I was kept in a walled compound with like 15-foot walls, and then a man with, I laugh at it now. It was terrifying. It was tragic and terrifying. And I wrote a book about it, but I haven't published it. So if there's any publishers or editors out there that want this sad, like heartbroken, dumb, blonde white girl in 2001 story about being kept against her will in a Muslim country,
Is this
send them my way.
is this pre 9/11 or post
This
9/11?
was literally 2001. I was in college. So yeah, September 11th. And then that next fall, I went to Spain. And then the fall after that, so this was 2002. And I guess the guy, and well, I do jokes about it, right? Where I'm like, I guess he was radicalized because I didn't know. He seemed so European when I first met him, and he had
Yeah.
like these long ringlets. And then when I went to Morocco, no, wait an hour. When I went to Morocco, he had like shaved all of his curls off. So I was like, well, he's not the same guy. And then he wouldn't translate, and he kept me in this compound, and he wouldn't let me leave. And then I just kept drinking this tea, and then I just slept. for like 2 weeks. He let me out 3 times. It was
Th-
crazy.
You almost
And
had
I may
SEAL
or yeah.
SEAL Team 6 almost came in then would have to save you. I mean,
You would think, right? But I was just like, oh, I'm American and I could go anywhere in the world and I've got this passport, so I could just go. And I didn't think that the world had changed the way it did, and especially this guy. So I'm just like, I'm free and I graduated college and let's explore. And then I was, yeah, and then I may or may not have gotten married in Moroccan standards because they drew henna on my palms and then there was drum. It's a whole story.
this is
But
why I
it's
hate
too long.
this is why I hate having daughters. This is what
Right.
happened. Yeah.
Which is
I don't
why I
want
didn't want to have a daughter.
and there you go.
Because she's gonna, and she's very adventurous. You heard my joke this past week where I go, we were driving by the projects and she's like, Mama, when I grow up, I wanna go there. And I'm like, those are the projects. She's like, when I grow up, I'll go there. Could be a big girl. And I'm like, oh well, huh? I ventured there for a guy named Carlos with a chin strap.
Well, but
Like I also went to Morocco.
from Morocco to the projects. It's
Morocco to the
yeah,
projects.
been there, done that, soup to nuts.
Yeah, not a good thing with a girl. So, and my husband's past is quite colorful. So, God knows what we're going to be, what's ahead of us in our lives.
Well, the good thing is you kind of live some of it, so you kind of
Know how to
yeah.
possibly try to prevent it. My mother told me nothing. My mother my mother didn't really go many places. She got married right away. She then when my dad left, then she dated one guy named Kurt. Ken's my uncle. Dated a guy named Kurt. Then she met my stepdad, and then that's it. That's been it.
Yeah,
So
but
she didn't really have a lot to
yeah,
push my way in terms of understanding the world around us.
a lot of life. Yeah, not a lot of life
Yeah.
experience.
No,
A lot of Delaware, and that's
a
it.
lot of Delaware, Philly. So she was born in Philly and was the only one to move out of Philly. So she moved to, there was like Connecticut, South Carolina, and Delaware. And Delaware, she has not left. Like they travel, but cruises and
Yeah, the
they,
old people vacation.
yeah, Alaska,
Yeah, my
stuff
parents
like
have done
that.
the same thing.
Mhm.
Alaska, Nova Scotia is, I think, a big one.
Yeah.
Just the cruise.
Yeah.
Cruises are big. Cruises are
They
big.
finally went to Europe and I was like, I think they just enjoyed the pasta. I think they liked
Yeah.
Italy for the pasta. My dad's Italian. So yeah, I mean, yeah, came home though. Finally made it out of Morocco. And I had to like escape. I acted like I was gonna hurt myself. So I left in the middle of the night. And then I lived and I worked and I gave out free drink tickets to like travelers in Spain. And then I like bartended a little bit. I made the greatest friends. I don't know, I had to come off of whatever drugs I'd been ingesting for like a month. I was sick, like on a couch, couldn't get off the couch.
Wow.
And then yeah, I came home and worked in politics.
How boring. Politics is the boring part of your life.
Yeah, it is the well, yeah, fairly. Like there was a lot of campaign. There's 3 campaigns, 3, yeah, 2 or 3, I don't remember. A couple campaigns and Philly, South Dakota. I traveled like the Midwest for a little bit, like Nebraska, Iowa, South Dakota.
Now, what were you doing? You were like a pollster or setting up the campaign? Like, how did
I was like Obama. I was a field organizer. So I had my territory was Nebraska and Iowa for a special election in South Dakota. So it was my job to get people post like people that would canvass. This is the boring part. So it organized with other people with this campaign to try to go out and get lists of people that would potentially want to come help get out the vote for like a get out the vote campaign type of knock doors, canvas, etc. for this special election. So I was kind of like a coordinator, so to speak. And that didn't work out well for me because I again disagreed with most things. And I got in a lot of trouble because I tend to voice my opinion and it's never popular. So unfortunately they were like, thanks for your help.
Here's a button.
See
Goodbye.
you. Yeah, bye. But I have made that. I still have people, friends of mine that are in politics still that are like, lobbyists, or they're still kind of like they're entrenched in that world, that they did not argue a lot. And I actually I reached out to a few during this election cycle, and I was like, so how are you?
Yeah.
What's going on? And yeah, I mean, they're normal people with kids and they're nice
Yeah.
guys, but yeah, that's the life story up until a point. And after that, there's uh, nonprofit organizations, governmental bodies,
Mm,
sold wine
okay.
and sold ad space for a Spanish language newspaper.
There's a Spanish language newspaper in Delaware.
No, in Philly. I did that in
Okay.
Philly. Al Dia is the
El
name of the
Diario,
newspaper.
not El Dia.
Al Dia, like the day,
The
to the
day.
day
Mm,
of the day, or to the day. And then that failed. And I ran a gay club in the neighborhood of Philly, which was probably the best days of my life. Um, and I started stand up when I was selling the wine. And I had to bathe my grandmother. And because of that treacherous moment, I
mhm.
got on stage the first time and I became a comic.
Now, your grandmother was living in Philly at the time?
She was
Or-
living in Jersey, and I went to
uh,
visit just to
uh,
go, was
yeah.
working, and I stopped by the house, and she didn't answer the door. And I was like, that's weird. She's probably home. And so I climbed in through a window, and I found her upstairs in the attic with no air conditioning in like July, August. And she didn't know who I was for a little bit. And then like things went awry. So I had to bathe her,
Right.
and it was not good. The family broke up. Um, and I told Monroe Martin, probably
Yeah.
know Monroe Martin. I told him I was bartending at a place called the Raven Lounge that same, like the week when I came back from helping my grandma, and I told him what happened, and he was like, stop being a pussy, get on stage. So I did, and the lady in the front row just wept, crying. This young girl it was not funny at all.
So you just went
And
up and told like your life story and people,
I just told about bathing my grandmother, how
oh,
difficult it was, and got off. And our friend has since passed, Chris Cotton, he was like, you got a lot of work to do to make that funny. And yeah, so I have been trying. Yeah, I don't you come to my show, so
yeah,
you know that every week I'm talking about what
it's
I go through
therapy.
every week.
We go to the
It
therapy
is.
session
It
every
is.
week.
It's cathartic too. But I'm trying to make it fun. Like, I hope I do. I think I do. Not everybody does it like I do, or not everybody thinks, I guess, to do it. But I also feel like I'm very fortunate in that I can have this opportunity with the regular customers that we have
Yeah.
at this show, that I kind of am forced to do new stuff every week, because I remember when I started watching a bunch of guys every week, like the same 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And as a bartender at that point, I was like, God, guys, do something new. And I vowed I would
Yeah.
never do that. And so that's kind of where this has come now. But
Yeah, I listen to the Tim Dillon show every week, his
mm,
podcast. He does almost a brand new hour every week because it's just him usually. He has a
yeah,
guest once in a blue moon, but it's him just talking for an hour about everything. And
yeah. Tim
it's
Dillon is
amazing.
brilliant. He's
Yeah,
brilliant.
he should be like up, he's almost like on that Rogan part where
Well, he is.
he's
I
gonna
mean,
blow up.
well, he is, because he's doing. I mean, he just did Rogan's, and they
Yeah,
keep having him back on. He was
yeah.
on with Alex Jones,
Yes, I
the
saw that.
guy,
Yeah.
like, he's wildly funny. But I think hopefully, eventually, that I get to that point. Yeah, it's
Mm.
like pushing whatever I'm going through onto poor innocent people's ears to just deal with it. But yeah, I just gotta kind of try to make everything a joke, because it's ridiculous what we have to handle nowadays, and there's a plethora of material just at the ready. So, here I am.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
now? All right. So when do you leave Philly? When do you come to New York, roughly?
Oh, th- uh, 2010. on Halloween. I packed up all my stuff. I sold all of my things. I had like a cute little row house in South Philly, and I banged the meatball maker in the Italian market in Small Trees. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
So I banged the meatball maker, and then I just sold all my stuff. And I was offered a podcast that was supposed to go daily, that I was already working for. They're like, move up to New York, sell your stuff, give up your
Yeah.
job, come on up here. And I was like, oh yeah, great idea. I knew two people up here, and so I did. I packed all my stuff up in my Toyota Camry and came up, started coaching gymnastics up here, went right to work, and then I went out that night in a slutty Pebbles, yeah, from, do you remember,
Oh, Flintstones.
from the Flintstones? I
Yeah.
dressed as Pebbles. I spray painted my hair, and I think I wore like a tank top as a skirt. And I got followed home that night in Washington Heights by a guy. I swear the guy was wearing tap shoes because it sounded like it was clickety clack, clickety clack. But I'm like, why would a gay follow me? Like, please make me friends. I need more friends. And then I've been here for 10 years. I found my husband and in stand up. Yeah, it's been just a perfect love story ever
You,
since.
yeah, you came to Washington. You were living in Washington Heights.
I went
Oy.
directly to Washington Heights.
Mm.
Yeah, with this ass. I
Yeah.
know it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah,
They
you
like
were.
this ass up there. This is what, yeah, it's what I'm meant
That's
for.
That's like kryptonite up there.
It is. It is.
You'll
And
get,
it
yeah.
used to be way tighter. So, imagine that. I used to be way hotter. Yeah. And nothing bad ever happened to me, just because I've traveled the world. Like, what,
Yeah.
the worst.
You've
What,
been
you're gonna
held
put me in a
hostage.
wall?
You've been a hostage.
You're
I
gonna
mean,
put me
what?
behind a wall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can hang out at a
So
VFW
scary.
probably and tell stories with guys. I mean, you
I
got
know.
you
Yeah.
got a lot of history.
Yeah, PTSD. And,
Yeah.
and that's just the beginning.
Kidding.
So
Huh.
God knows what's happened to me since I moved to New York. I was homeless,
Really?
lived with a hooker, almost lived with a second hooker. I make the best decisions is
You
what this whole podcast is about.
I can't this is just breaking my I'm just thinking of my two daughters every time you tell me a story of I lived in Washington Heights, I'm living with Hooker.
I
I
lived with a hooker. I didn't know. Didn't know she was a hooker.
You didn't
You
notice
see,
guys
she
just
had
coming in and out of the house?
no, she never brought anybody in. She was like 4'9", as big as my jewel. She was so tiny. She was like Latin, I think. Maybe she was Italian, maybe both. And she had no job. I lived on 21st and First Avenue, and
Okay.
I moved in because she was a friend of a friend. This is what happens. It's friends of
Yeah.
friends that get me in trouble.
Yeah.
So I move in with this girl. She's very nice right away. Then she has no job. She has all, I'm thinking maybe she was some kind of, like her parents gave her money, or,
Yeah.
like a trust fund baby. Mm-mm. She had the most amazing clothes, designer dresses, designer shoes. She would go sailing. She would go to Colombia. She was going all over the place with all these different men, but I never met any of them, and I never saw her go to work, but she always had amazing stuff. She never told me what she did. And I became friends with a comic who was like, oh, she's an escort. And I remember meeting one of her friends who was like, I don't give blowjobs unless you buy me a car. And I'm like maybe she was a sugar baby. I don't know what she was. But then I got kicked because she wasn't paying the rent, because I guess she was just buying clothes.
Yeah.
Or maybe hooking wasn't really keeping it up, wasn't paying the bills. They were taking my side of the rent to pay for hers. And then they were like, oh, you're back 2 months rent. While I'm working 2 jobs, bartending, coaching gymnastics, and doing stand up at night. I'm hustling. I moved to New York. I'm doing this podcast, doing this, all over. And then they're like, okay, well, you're out. So it's time to go. And I was like, what do you mean it's time to go? I've been paying the rent. Well, she hasn't. So they took my security deposit to pay for her to, like, whatever she
Cover
owed them.
her, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I had to move all of my stuff into storage. And there's probably a photo on my Facebook of me just with all of my stuff in a storage unit. Like,
I'm gonna sleep here tonight.
yep, I've slept in stairwells, not like overnight,
Mhm,
but for extended
mhm.
hours because a friend I was staying with didn't show up right away or was like too drunk to come home. I've had my clothes stolen out of washers, not dryers. My clothes were, a guy tried to take my clothes out of a washer in Brooklyn in
Wet
like the middle of the
clothes.
day, wet clothes. Mm, and then the girl that told me the one girl was a hooker, she ends up being a high paid escort. And I was like, oh, she goes, yeah, well, it takes one to know one. Like you can't, I can't make, I can't make this stuff up. I wish all this were a lie. And then, uh, yeah, that high paid escort, whew, she kept my stuff for a couple of days. Yeah. So what I'm saying is like, if you have any power to not have daughters, you
Don't.
should probably, yeah, you should do whatever is in your power to not have
Yeah,
a daughter.
the escort. I used to lock up escorts all the time, and they're a special breed of woman. They're either like super hyper like masculine, or they're working for a guy, and
Yeah.
they're very like scared. The super masculine ones usually like the hyper
Like
ones.
aggressive.
Yeah, they're like they work for themselves, and a lot of it was all off like Craigslist and sites, and they would just. I'm sure she would get tons of phone calls. I'm sure she was
She's always
constantly
on the phone.
always on
Yeah.
the phone setting up. And I will say this: in 27 years, prostitutes have the worst time. They're always late. You would
Well,
think
because
for,
they're busy. They're always on.
but
It's really hard to
they
get
would
up off the bed.
but they would set up a time for like 7 o'clock, and we'd be sitting around. And they'd show up at like 8:15. They were always late.
Well, I was only 33 minutes late. So, in terms of prostitution, I'm
You're not
early.
bad. You wouldn't be too
I'm
bad.
early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
early. You're good.
That's good. Good. I'm better than a hooker.
Oh,
I
Bobby,
feel like I've made it.
you've redeemed yourself. Now I don't mind having daughters. So.
Yeah. Oh, New York has done so much. New York has done so much.
So
I
now
don't the worst.
you meet your husband here, right? You meet Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did that happen? I'm assuming one night at the club, at the comedy club, you guys meet each other, and it's kismet.
I'd seen. I guess no. The first time I met him, I was outside. It's in 25 Sets. I tell a
Yeah.
story in his documentary where I was going to go visit a manager at New York Comedy Club, and her name is Gina. She's lovely. She's still around. She's in Florida right now. She was like, "Oh, come on over," and I went to go visit her. And as I'm walking up to New York Comedy Club on 24th Street, he is walking out of the club or down the street, and I look at him like I was like, oh, I know this guy. How do I know him? I forget how I know him. And I go, don't I know you? And he goes, I don't know, do you? Or something. Not yet. I don't know. Weird. He's like, no, I don't know. Do you? And then I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then I walked in and I go, who's that guy? Oh, it's Aaron Berg. I don't know who he is, really. And then apparently he told me later on, he's probably listening in because I think he's hiding down here in the basement. Uh, is that you? Oh, there you are. What did you say when I said, do I know you when I first met you? Did you say, no, do I, or not yet? Or I don't know, do you? He doesn't remember. He's old. I think he's old that he can't remember. I don't know. Maybe we met before. So, and then he said later on, he tells me, he goes, the first thing I thought was, oh, yeah, she's cute, but I bet you that girl really knows her way around a dick.
So it was love at first sight, basically. It was love at first. It was a Hallmark card. That's what it was.
It's romantic.
It is.
And this is what I want my daughter to end up with,
Again,
right? Yeah, exactly.
I'm
And
going to be
then,
on
well, he
medication
went,
after this. I
he
am.
then, I'm sorry. he, and it's the thing, like, I'm going to have to tell her this story one day. I'm going to have to change the words.
No, you're not. No, come on.
I have to be
We're going
completely,
to have to
I'm
edit.
totally
A lot of
transparent. So then he starts kind of, I see him and then I interview him on a podcast that I had and it failed. It was called the Red Light Podcast, and he was still drinking at that point. He was a big wine drinker, as I am now. And I think he came into this podcast with like red teeth from the night before. But I thought,
Mhm.
oh God, like, of course you do research for people like you
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
probably for me. And I'm like, God, I'm like taken by this guy. And when I interview him, you can hear me like falling all over
Mm.
myself to try to, or like, oh, did you just sell a script
Uh,
for, and he goes, yeah, for how much? And I go, 1.5. And he's like I'm used to saying $1.5 million, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, I just did. Just kidding. It's not me. It's a different Aaron Berg. You could just hear me flirting with him. It's so awful. And right after that, we kind of just started running into each other a lot more. I feel like he was stalking me at open mics. He would just come to a club that I frequented at an open mic and that I worked the door for nothing for 3 years. And at one point we were messaging each other, long time we were messaging each other, and then I was like, oh well, are we gonna hang out later? We're outside of Greenwich Village Comedy Club, and I go, so we're gonna hang out? And he goes, well, I think of you all the time.
oh,
And how about I just walk you home?
all
I
right.
don't want to
That's what you tell her. Those are the story. They leave everything else out. Throw that in. Just start with that.
Yeah. Uh, then, yeah. And then it just happened. We never really went on dates. We just went to shows and we laughed a lot and we were in the village a lot. So we spent
Mm.
a lot of our time on street corners and in back rooms and basements. And then he wouldn't let me touch him for months. Really unfair.
Oh, you had to
Oh,
wait.
as my 3-year-old walks in the room, he wouldn't let me touch him for months. But now I don't let him touch me for months. So, turnabout is fair play,
Yeah,
right? Did you want to? Yeah. Hmm. She wants to say hi. You
say
can wave.
hello. Hey,
Hi. You can say hi. Hi.
hi.
Okay. All right. Go play somewhere because mommy's still doing a show. Love you. Bye.
How's her head?
Her head is fine. She
Oh,
just did
okay.
a full face. Yes. She did a full face plant because she's been learning ballet, and she just
Uh,
twirled, full on fell, straight body like a board
well,
at
she
the
fell
show
the
the
other
other
night.
night.
Yeah, the other night I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
She
Yeah.
just yeah.
Oh, I think she hit her chin. She might have a little bruise
Oh,
on her
okay.
chin. Mm.
All right.
And you what? You tripped. She tripped and she flipped. She tripped and flipped and slipped. She told me. Yeah. Mm.
Oh.
I'm
How
not
old?
gonna pull any punches now, even though
How
she's
old is
here.
she now?
She's 3. She turned
Uh,
3 in August.
oh, that's,
Yeah.
oh my
August,
god.
September.
Aye,
You didn't really know you're gonna have a
no, it's
3.
okay.
I thought you were supposed to nap. You just went down at 4. Go. Can you go color mommy a picture? Go draw me a rainbow. Okay. I love you. Okay, bye.
I kind of forget those days. My youngest is 14,
Your youngest is 14.
and my
Well, that's a
oldest is
harder
20.
that's a harder age than 3. You might have to put this on pause because now I just need more attention for me.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for coughing in my face. Okay, you can do whatever you want. Go make foodie. Go play Play-Doh. Get out of here, kid. Entertain yourself. Quiet time for 30 more minutes. I'm going to start a timer. Okay? Okay. Meow meow.
Yeah.
Okay. We play cats. All right.
That's all right.
Any questions?
Yeah. All right. It's perfect. This worked right in. How does like being a mom change you in comedy? It's more material, but is there anything else? I mean,
Yeah,
like you cut.
perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective, looking at my life in a different way, looking at situations in a different way, having to play a role and another role simultaneously. And it is stinky because it's sage. That's not your butt. It smells like that because dad smokes cigars and he smells like pop and it stinks. So he tries to cover it up with sage and it smells worse. and Stinky in the car. Yeah. This is, I don't know. I don't have the opportunity. I have like 30 minutes a day to potentially think about myself. So half of the time I'm just frenzied. I'm discombobulated. I'm frustrated. I'm usually angry, and I'm not angry at her. I'm not angry at me. I just, there's no time. I'm just frustrated that I don't have time to pee alone, nothing.
Yeah.
And it's just that, I think that has developed me more as a comic than anything else ever has or ever had. Like hardship, donuts. She showed me donuts, so sometimes I just have to say things and show them so that she knows that I'm acknowledging things. I thought quiet time. Do not talk to mommy for 25 more minutes. Go tell daddy. He hasn't been home all day. I'm most of the time really frustrated with balance of power.
Yeah. I still get that.
In a relationship.
You will get that forever. That is because now when you were a teenager, did you not get along with your mother? Kind of.
Yeah.
It was more like they hate my daughters and my wife are either at each other's throats
or love each other.
Yeah.
Or
That's it. And then I'm the referee. I might as well wear a striped shirt and work at Foot Locker.
She could care less if I were not doing this. He walked in the room, like everything ends when my husband walks in the room, and it begins and ends with him, right? And so that's I'm like, I ruined my abdomen. I have a scar from hip bone to hip bone for you. I did that. You don't care. You only care because daddy's here. So it's upsetting. And it's really like career never went on hold. Actually, I think I became funnier because I was fatter when I was pregnant. And I was also if you listen to my album is me just wheezing through very angry pregnancy, and the end of it. And, but I feel like I changed. I had to morph into something different because there's nothing really that was that interesting. You told daddy. Good. That was not anything that interesting when I was just a single girl living in it, right? Because really, and I don't know, it wasn't too much of this, it wasn't too much of that. And I didn't fit into like, the slutty section, and I wasn't like a lesbian, although one or the other would have been fun for a while. And so this, I feel like, separated me to a large extent. And then when I put out my album, the first one, it did okay. It did fine. Like it's funny, but now when I look at it, I'm like, God, you were angry. It was hard. It's hard to listen to for me because it's so aggressive and just I had a tough time pregnant.
How pregnant were you when you were on stage? Like
9 months pregnant.
Whoa.
Like almost to the day. Yeah. Shh. She knows I'm kidding, kind of. That's why she keeps doing it, because she knows that it's just fuel. So I was 9 months pregnant, and I thought I was going to bring tarps for the front row. And I think I say it in the album, but I didn't have enough time to even think, or I didn't have the brain capacity to think about planning on bringing tarps for the poor front row. So, because I was like, oh, let's do it like Gallagher. Remember Gallagher from the 80s, where I'm like, oh, instead of a watermelon, this would be an actual.
You don't need a sledgehammer.
Just
squirt the
stand
stage
here. And I sweat the whole time, and I stole someone's fry because I was hungry. And I put it out, and it's great because then it's a period of time in my life that's past. So I knew going into motherhood, I would have a different perspective. I would have different things to talk about. So I wanted to get rid of all that other stuff. And I think any comic would tell you the same thing at a certain point. Like I was 10 years in at that point. So I felt like I needed to get that out of me and do that. That's like a rite of passage, right? You put out your first album and then start anew. And so I have been. motherhood has been, I've developed a lot during motherhood. So
Now, how has COVID changed everything for you? With, I mean, because it seems like there was a lot of comics that were like almost getting to that point, and then
yeah,
this just chopped their legs out.
I think
Where,
it did the opposite for me because I'm so loud, because I think the kind of the pressure I think that parenting has
yeah,
on any kind of artist. I'm not laying down. It's 13 years that I've given my
yeah,
life to something, and I'm angrier than I ever have
mhm,
been about what's going on in the world. So I think fortunately that a club thought I was, loud enough and obnoxious enough and friendly enough
mhm,
all at the same time to host lots of shows in the park show. I did a lot
yeah.
of the parks
I
when
saw
it
you in the
was
park
warm
this
out.
summer,
Did you see me in a park?
Astoria.
You saw me in Astoria Park?
Yes,
Oh, that feels
August.
nice.
August?
Oh, was my kid with me? She usually is.
No, I think it was just,
No? Oh, so I had like two White Claws instead of one. She
yeah,
did come to a lot of them. The good thing is that she just like runs around and she can't really hear what I
yeah,
say in the parks, but she's a really great hype woman because she'll just be like, "Yeah,
yeah,
mama," and then people just love that I got my kid. Uh, the way that it changed was I got really angry behind a screen, and then I was like, any opportunity that I have to do what I love, to do what we love, to do what created my life, I will do. And I will. And, there was a lot of comics that said things like, I'm not going to do it on the back of pickup trucks. I'm not going to do it in
yeah,
somebody's garage. I'm not going to do it in a park show. I'm not going to. But for me, nothing is beneath me. I've done a show for some guy from Istanbul in the village. One dude didn't speak English, did the show anyway. That, when I was barking people in to come to shows. So yeah, this is fine. I have to scream, without a microphone, with a
yeah.
microphone, with a lot of things going on. And I think I'm I think I'm funnier when I'm angry. I think I'm funnier when things are not going well. I think I'm
Yeah.
funnier when, right? So it's just, for me, it's
It
fuel.
toughens you
And
up.
yeah. And I think, hopefully I am talented enough that, sometimes there's the nuance of the joke where, in an enclosed space in a club, sure, the asides can be really funny, or
Yeah,
I can weigh things in a different way and like flow through things in a different way. But in parks, they just
yeah,
want you to punch them in the face.
yeah.
And so I know what, I think I know what to do and when to do it. And I think it's also like it's kind of, I have a friendly enough face that people are like, okay, well, this bitch is yelling at me, but
Mm.
it's
Yes,
okay, I guess. White lady yelling at
yeah.
you, nobody's really afraid.
We're used to
Just kind
that.
of annoyed. Yeah. I don't know what this is, and is probably not what you think it is.
I thought it
this
was a
is
pencil.
this is a nose picker. Do you
Oh,
see it? It's a
yeah.
nose picker. That's for me. There you go. Why don't you eat that now? Just kidding. Don't eat it. That was
It's
a joke.
dinner.
All right. Um, yeah. So there's just more opportunity, I think. It's a wand. It's a magic wand. Okay, we're back. Go back. Quiet. Quiet. Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig.
Oh, Peppa Pig.
Go make Peppa Pig dinner. Foodie. Make a foodie cake. Okay. And then I have the opportunity to do a show, one of very few, inside.
Yeah.
Illegal.
The
Shouldn't probably talk about it,
mm,
but we're gonna.
all right, yeah. Let's talk about the show. I mean, or do you want to? We'll save the show for last. Tell me about Miss Pillows.
I walked in. I did an audition. I literally walked in the door, and the lady goes, "That is Miss Pillow." Didn't even open my mouth, and they said, "Let's have you read." And I did Miss Pillow. So it's about boobs, boob health,
Yeah.
boob jokes, boob everything, boobs. Yes, boobs, Piper. I can't say that. Mammary glands, and
Well, she can't hear
uh,
me, right?
no, she can't hear you.
Guys, it's a show about tits. Watch it. It's
It's
on
like
YouTube.
So I'm the Mamory comic, and it's informational. It's by Scary Mommy.
Yeah.
They did very well. Did like woman on the street thing. I did little sketches, and it was fun. Well, they painted my hair pink. That was fun. And yeah, it was fun. I did that. I feel like a lot of women liked it because we talked about breast cancer. We talked
Yeah, it was
about the BRCA1 and 2.
informational.
Yeah, it's
Very
informational, but it's
informational.
supposed to be fun. But there's only so much of me that I could give, and I think it's difficult to be, I am very much like there's a character here,
Yeah.
right? And for me to go into that kind of more polished and kitschy
Yeah.
character, I don't know. It was an experience to feel it out, but I loved it. It was a lot of fun, and they're a great company, and they put out a lot of good stuff. So I think
It
they
was very
enjoyed it.
fun. If you can check it out, Miss Pillows, it's on YouTube. And then you got Bumped, that's out.
Bumped is
People can
out. Bumped is out. Bumped is on like iTunes. I probably like Apple Play, all that stuff. Bumped, just with my name. I think I put it out as Christine Meehan Berg.
And now
It's
what
not
is
my
that?
legal name.
It's all comics. It sounds like it's something like the comic you get bumped.
Bumped
Yeah.
is my album, and it's a double
Ah,
entendre, right? Because
yeah.
I bumped out, right, a big bump on my belly, and then the idea was I have been bumped by a lot of comics.
Mm.
And as a comic, what happens is like, oh, you're waiting to go on stage, and then somebody more important than you comes in, and so you're bumped either off the show
Yeah.
or down the line,
Right.
so you have to wait until somebody else gets on stage. And I felt like, because I had been, that there's not a lot of notoriety that I had enjoyed prior prior to my album. Then is there now? I don't
Yeah.
know, maybe, but
You're the queen of Forest Hills now, so I mean.
I am the queen. Oh, well, if there's a place to be a queen of,
Yeah.
the gardens. If you want me to be a queen, I'd be the queen of the
Oh,
gardens.
the gardens, please.
My kid calls me queen because when I yell at her, my face turns red, so I look like the Queen of Hearts
Huh?
from Alice in Wonderland. So yes, I'm the queen of something.
And now you do the special little secret shows every week. So
Yeah, so we're not
what?
supposed to market it, but like, who's gonna? The worry was that we were gonna get shut down.
Yeah.
And I don't market it that much because I thought, oh, this is my freedom,
Yeah.
because I thought that our freedoms were under attack, and that I remember when the cops were shutting down shows in Battery
Yeah.
Park. I had 5 of my shows. Cops showed up at 5. One, my husband's mic was cut off, and the cops came in because I was inside. And there was a show in Connecticut where the cops came as I got off the stage. There was the Stand Up New York show, which is part of John Marco Ceresi's special.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, I saw that. I saw you on that. Yeah, on the truck.
so I got heckled
Yeah.
on the back of a truck. There was one in Astoria at the diner. I forget
Oh,
what
the
was
Bel Air.
diner. The Bel Air diner.
I grew
The
up
cops
there.
came. That's where we lived when she was first born, when my kid was first born. So not in the diner, not behind, not in the dumpster, but close. And yeah, cops came there too. So at some point I was like, okay, let's just not invite the cops.
Yeah.
But I feel like there was a lot going on
Yeah.
at that point. And now I guess we're restaurants are open and
Yeah.
ish, and may shut down again, but there's like 3 places that you can speak inside. And as a comic, knowing what it's like to be outside and what those laughs feel like, and then doing it inside that first time at my show. You could do Play-Doh. Thanks for interrupting that one good. That I had like a full. There was a line. There was a through line. There was a whole thing, Piper. But go play Play-Doh. Okay. And first, she's gonna bang on a hammer first, so you can't hear me. But I felt like, oh, I know the difference of sound.
Yeah.
And just that elation that a comic gets, feeling that sound bounce off of a wall. even if it's just 5 people laughing that loudly, it's just like it's better than anything, i- anything. Maybe not my kids like cheeks when I
Yeah.
kiss them, or like I squeeze your body as I want her to pop. But that is something to be cherished, and I, God, I hope that we can continue it, because every time comic comes, we've had amazing comics: Jessica Kearson, we've
Yes.
had Rich Voss, we've had Mark Normand, we've had Joe List, we've had um Matt Richards, we've had, I mean, Monroe
You had
Martin, I mean, I've had
Alex
Adrian
was on. Alex
Appalucci, Alex
Pavone.
Pavone, I've
Yes.
had, and I have Ryan Long coming this week,
Yeah. Ooh.
potentially Harrison Greenbaum, like, so there's a lot of great comics that I have coming, Ian Lara, Aaron Berg. So he only does it because he's banging the booker
Yeah.
sometimes, not regularly, kind of like side piece
Yeah.
kind of thing. But yeah, and we've had these kinds of comics, and that's really great. Every time they come, they sorry for that word, but every time they show up and they come to the show, they're like, this is unfairly fun. This is
Yeah.
they're unfairly a good crowd. And so I feel like it's not worthy of these laughs. But I think that's also because they're not used to getting the laughs that they are accustomed to, because they're not inside. So for them to remember, we had Mike Vecchione,
Yeah.
and
He
he
was
said the same
great.
thing.
He was great.
It's just, and for him, he has to be inside,
Yeah.
because he's very,
He's got that one
deadpan, very
tone, and
calm. He's got the
yeah.
tone, and everything's just, he's not shoving it down your face like I do. He's not obnoxious. And I think that comics like that really need, they
Yeah.
need to be able to do what they do. And it's not going to happen on a rooftop,
Yeah.
not like it can here. So yeah, we do it at, we'll just say it, because I mean, you don't know who's listening, but Dylan's 8 p.m. Wednesdays.
Dylan's in Forest Hills.
Mm.
I'll give all the info after we're done. Um, yeah, it was. I actually watched Andy Fiore was on his podcast,
Mhm.
and he talked about it, and he goes, "I thought it was gonna
Did he?
suck." He goes, "I thought it was gonna be the worst. It was raining out." And he goes, "It turned out to be one of the best nights I had in a long time."
Yep. Oh,
And he
yay!
was great.
Andy Fiore is so great. And then that was a show with Ian Fidance, and
Yes,
Fidance.
Ian, that guy's nuts. I've never
Oh,
seen him before, and he was all over the place.
Ian has been a friend of mine since Philly. Like, I started, I think, before
Yeah.
Ian, or right around the same time. So we were part of a thing called Center City Comedy. I don't know if he was just, I don't know, maybe we just coincided.
Yeah.
Ian is wild. He's wild, and he's very fun and manic funny. So God love him. He was like, thanks for thinking of me. Well, it's fun to be the female counterpart of a lot of guys that I started with, because all of our lives have moved on, and our personalities have just gotten bigger, and the opportunities are different.
Yeah.
So Ian's crazy. Good to have those
But
kinds of guys.
all right, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you for being on. I
Thank
really
you for
appreciate.
having me.
Where can people find you? Let everyone know where we can find you.
On Twitter, I'm mean. Not That's not my name. My Twitter handle is at Funny Christine, FUNNYCHRISTINE. Then Instagram is Funny X Teen, and I guess my website is christinemeehan.com. And they can get bumped on anything if they want to buy it. That would be really great. And then Dylan's on Wednesdays.
No show this week, though, right?
No show before Thanksgiving. We're going to be back on December 2nd.
With Ryan Long.
Yeah, Ryan Long.
Ryan Long, who is hilarious. So
putting a lot out there. So yeah.
Oh, like I said, check out Christine. Find her on social media. Dylan's in Forest Hills. It's a great show. You're going to see like headline comedians in just like a little nice, cozy space. It's amazing. I've been
safe
going the
and
last.
socially distanced.
Yes, very socially distanced. There's little shields up, masks, everything. You're getting your temperature taken. Everything is
contact tracing.
Yes. The only reason I knew about those shows were I was walking down Metro and Rich Voss almost knocked me down. He ran out when they had like the garage doors open, the front he just ran out and almost knocked me down. I go, was that Rich Voss? I saw you, and then I saw someone on stage. I was like, that's when I started
Such a good
DMing
time.
you, like, is there a show?
There's
Yeah,
a
come
show.
down every
We
week.
got a show. Come, people. And the great thing about that place is they do want, you know, Marie and Bry, the owners of the place, they want artists to work,
Yeah.
and they want it to be a place where they feel comfortable enough to do the work to put it out. So, and we also are in the process of doing video and then putting out some work that we create there, putting it out on, you know, YouTube, have a channel, podcast is coming from me, so there's a lot in the works,
Oh,
so
great.
stay tuned.
Christine, again, thank you so much. I'll
Thank
see
you.
you in a couple of weeks. Enjoy your Thanksgiving and say bye to Piper for me.
Okay, happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Take
All
care.
right,
Bye.
bye, thanks.
Bye. Guys, if you like the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel, okay? Please. It's down here somewhere. Look over here. Subscribe to the YouTube, like, rate, review, let me know what's going on. Uh Other than that, have a great Thanksgiving. Love yous. Bye.